Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope Tuesday stream. I'm sorry, folks. It's tiring today. Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome everybody. Yellow King with the tier 1 sub for 44 months. Thank you. I appreciate it. Michael Hassler, Derry Bennett, Mouselander on the YouTube. Welcome. Waltz for BB. Oh yes. I believe we all have fallen out of a coconut tree today. Okay? We'll definitely be talking about it today, folks. I have to cut the stream short today. I'm sorry. I have to deal with the Jeep issues, car issues, if you will. So I apologize if the stream isn't going to be as long as it normally is. So I suppose we should try to get in as much content as much content as possible. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Yes, if you're on the YouTube, keep liking the stream. It really does help us out. And subscribe if you haven't done so. Please consider checking out the merch store. We have a brand new merch store, which is pretty freaking cool if I do say so myself. If you want to support the channel, consider checking that out. Join the Discord, folks. Last Saturday of the month, we will be doing movie nights again. I completely have not been able to make it happen. But we'll be putting movie nights back on the table for Dune. Dune number 2, last Saturday, August 31st. Join the Discord, folks. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? Oh man, I think we all just did. I think we all just did. Memes aside, we definitely have a lot to unpack there. Let's get started, folks. Let's have a good, short, sweet stream. Let's do it. To the point.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks.
Spoiler alert. There indeed were takebacks as soon as he got the backlash. I found that freaking hilarious, by the way. Oh, shoot. I almost forgot. Before we do anything else, folks, if you are in Cori Bush's district, go vote, please. There's an important primary going on today. Go vote.
Spoiler alert, there was indeed a take back.
Oh, man. That's actually hilarious that Mike Figueroa worded it exactly the same way. That's funny.
In fact, less than a day later, Kyle Rittenhouse took to Twitter to announce this. Over the past 12 hours, I've had a series of productive conversations with members of the Trump team, and I am confident he will be the strong ally gun owners need to defend our Second Amendment rights. My comments made last night were ill-informed and unproductive. I'm 100% behind Donald Trump and encourage every gun owner to join me in helping send him back to the White House. Now, this was shortly after he tweeted out, quote, "No compromise means no compromise." Except it apparently does, because he folded. He folded real quick. And the reason why he folded is because he was bombarded with hate from the usual suspects.
Yep. Man, this guy is really like the grift that keeps on grifting, right? This dude's gonna milk this like as much as he possibly can, because I mean, like, he's got no other choice.
Trump supporters. And the onslaught of hate that he received was so much that no human could withstand it. So of course he folded. And look, I'm no fan of Kyle Rittenhouse, but with the way that they were acting, you'd think that he killed someone. Now, I want to look at some of the reactions to...
I see what he did there. I see what he did there.
News that he would be writing in Ron Paul, because they were very unhinged. For example, notorious Trump supporter Cat Turd shared a screenshot of him blocking Rittenhouse, writing, "Bye forever. I can stomach a lot of things, but backstabbing millions who supported you at your lowest point, then turning on Trump right after he got shot, can't stomach it. Won't put up with it. Forgotten forever." So he's telling Rittenhouse that shooting someone is bad. Interesting. Dom Lecrae, who shared literal CP on Twitter, adds, "This breaks my heart. It really does. Dear Kyle Rittenhouse, you have been selected to be exposed." Oh shit. "What happens next will be a warning for anyone is compromised by money during this pivotal time." Conservative podcast host Chad Prather says, "Oh well, Kyle, I regret to inform you that I will no longer be one of your guests on September 12th at the TXGR event. I reckon you can write in someone else. This was not the way, bud." Now, on top of that, MAGA influencer Joey Manarino writes, "Just unfollowed you. If not for MAGA, you would be rotting in a prison bending over for Bubba." That was the jury that actually got him out, not MAGA.
Right. What?
But anyways, he continues, "MAGA raised unbelievable sums of money for you. Trump welcomed you into his home. This is how you thank him and the MAGA movement after all those years of support? Fuck you and the horse you rode in."
Man. Not a cult, by the way. Not a cult. Not a cult. Totally normal, totally not cultish behavior going on here.
On. He later added, "Kyle Shittenhouse can go eat a dick." An online Trump cultist added, "Wow, this is really disappointing after how much support he gave you. Voting Ron Paul is pretty much voting for Kamala. Very ignorant." Now, I want to pause right there, because you're only seeing a small fraction of the hate that he actually received. It was overwhelming. Now, the problem is that he has since deleted the tweets where he said he wouldn't vote for Trump, and he also deleted the tweets where he doubled down and said that he wouldn't compromise. So since that's the case, it's really hard to find the replies to Kyle Rittenhouse unless they've been linked to in articles. That's how I sourced those replies that you saw. I found them in Mediaite and Rolling Stone.
Yeah, you gotta go back to the archive machine for that one if it even is possible.
But just to be clear, it was overwhelmingly negative. Now, it wasn't just Kyle Rittenhouse taking heat, because this endorsement also did another thing. It triggered a lot of infighting among prominent right-wingers. For example, Matt Walsh chimed in with the defense of Rittenhouse, saying, quote, "I supported Kyle Rittenhouse because he was an innocent kid who was unjustly prosecuted. I don't think he owes me anything, and I really don't care about his politics one way or another. Not sure what was gained by screaming at the guy until he supports Trump again." Now, Walsh later went on to say the over-the-top emotional response to Rittenhouse was embarrassing and made them all look feminine. Really interesting.
Amazing.
And Catturd responded to Matt Walsh saying, another dumb, clueless take by Trump-hating, arrogant Matt Walsh. Seriously, how can anyone stand this fraud? Pompous ass from hell. And he was also presumably arguing with a bunch of Matt Walsh stans who came to his defense and said, no, he actually does support Trump. But, Catturd questioned whether or not Matt Walsh supports Trump enough. So, that's just one example of some infighting there. But we've seen a barrage of attacks so far from Kyle Rittenhouse. We've seen infighting from the right, all because Rittenhouse just said, hey, guys, I'm probably just going to write in Ron Paul. But there's also another element to this story that we're not talking about. The deranged, batshit insane conspiracy theories. So in a ridiculous viral tweet by a QAnon conspiracy theorist, they claim that Kyle Rittenhouse is actually one of the kids murdered at Sandy Hook. Couldn't get more stupid than this.
Amazing.
Now, last but not least, there was the transvestigation of Kyle Rittenhouse, as journalist Matt Bender points out. This user claimed that Rittenhouse is a psyop and trans. These people are so fucking stupid, and I absolutely despise the fact that whenever conservatives are mad at you or mad at one of their own, they go to transvestigating somebody all of a sudden.
Hey everyone, big heads up. Paleo Valley's running a sale on all their meat sticks right now. You can get 30 sticks for $36.
I'm good.
It's just deeply idiotic. Like, this is the end result of widespread transphobia, where everybody is suspicious of not being the gender they identify as or whatever. It's bullshit, and it has to stop. But I mean, we're dealing with some of the stupidest people in the country. Now, again, this entire
It's just so weird that that's like the first thing that they fixate on.
storm ensued, all because one person said they weren't going to vote for Donald Trump. That's a net loss of one vote. And that's why they all collectively shit themselves. Now, this was a problem in particular for Kyle Rittenhouse because he would be nothing without these people. So even though it's just one vote, they weren't going to back down, right? Conservatives are his only fans, and if he loses them, his 15 seconds of fame is up. So that's why he caved almost immediately. The question now is, how was his flip-flop received by Trump supporters? And the answer actually is not bad for the most part, because, if you are gonna bend the knee and renounce what you previously said, they're fine with you. Just don't defy Daddy Trump, and if you stray away from the flock, they'll bring you back in, even if they have to break your legs. Now,
not a cult, by the way. Not a cult, by the way.
There were some liberals and lefties who were making fun of him caving to the MAGA mob. But to really gauge where conservatives are, I think that you've really got to look at the esteemed Catturd, who had the biggest meltdown in response to Rittenhouse saying that he was not going to vote for Donald Trump. So he replied to Kyle Rittenhouse saying, I was harder on you than anyone, but I can't hold a grudge when a man apologizes. Just remember, when it was political poison to take your side, Trump and MAGA was there for you during your lowest point.
No,
so
it
all is
wasn't.
well with
What? Man.
Rittenhouse and MAGA world now. But I've just got to say, this is really fucking weird. He didn't ask any of you to defend him. You chose to do that on your own volition because you liked that he killed people at a Black Lives Matter rally that he showed up to intimidate protesters at. So he doesn't owe you anything. You chose to defend him. But, since this is largely a cult, disloyalty is never accepted. But it can be forgiven if you bend the knee immediately. Now, to put all of this into perspective, this is the guy who has this massive cult of personality around him.
Walk in and this woman starts talking about, she talked about, let's get rid of the elephant in the room. And she starts talking about racism and everything. I said, you didn't even say hello to me. And I'm doing them a favor by doing this. I'm doing this out of respect to the black community. And we're getting record numbers, as you know, in the black community. And she came across, she's with ABC Fake News, which is one of the worst. ABC is one of the worst.
Right.
And she is horrible.
Amazing. I always found this funny that like the dynamic that this guy has by saying on one hand that all these news networks, fake news networks are the enemy of the people and they're always against him and they're always crapping on him. Yet, he still goes on interviews. He still has his rallies televised to the extent that they are. And he still shows up to journalist events.
That's the guy that you have to support. Otherwise, you're a traitor and they're going to transvestigate you. The guy who doesn't know that multiracial people exist. What a dumbass world we live in. Now, I've got to say, first and foremost, they're not beating the weird allegations, especially considering that Aiden Ross, who's the politically illiterate guy that was interviewing him, gifted him a Cybertruck with his face on it, which is in and of itself extremely strange. But I want to add that it's not about policy or politics to these people. It's about loyalty to this 78-year-old man-child who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and doesn't give a shit about any of them. And this meltdown over one lost vote from a perceived traitor is just a microcosm of a broader issue. Politics, with regard to Donald Trump in this era, it's not about policy anymore. It's about the spectacle and rhetoric, and I absolutely fucking hate that.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Love that emote. And by the way, you know, there's some dubious questions about how that's going to play out legally, because that's considered like a political rally. Like what he did there was a political rally in which he received gifts. Another way of putting it is he got donations. He got campaign contributions. So I'm wondering if whether or not that's going to be investigated.
We need to focus on policy and what can help working class Americans, not these dipshits like Donald Trump, not a political demagogue. I hate that. So him losing is necessary for so many reasons, but knowing that it could be the end of the Trump era and all the cult bullshit that comes along with it,
I hope
that
so.
is reason alone to vote against Donald Trump.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, I don't know if like the Trump phenomenon is gonna disappear, but I will say that it will be significantly weakened if he's no longer you know, in the running if he loses. Because, like, if he loses, he's pretty much done. Like, that's it. He's done. I seriously doubt that he's going to show up in 2028 and try to run again. That just doesn't make any sense. So if he loses, he's basically done. He's basically done.
So let's at least, as a country, try to be a little bit more serious for fuck's sake, so that way things like this don't happen.
I'm gonna come.
Thanks, Mike.
Logan Soy, I think the fix is in for right-wing media to combat the weird tag. I've noticed Ruben and Tim Toole posting over-the-top crazy weird shit on their Twitter feeds. Seems they're leaning into this and trying to obfuscate or belittle the weird tag in some way. You know what? Let's do this.
This is like I'm going to go get COVID to fight COVID.
This I found fascinating. I saw this en route to, I was going to play softball last night, and I think I saw this on the way to softball. He posted it yesterday at 10 a.m. Here is Tim Pool posting a graphic of Donald Trump in a night suit holding onto a rabbit. And he quotes, "You'll never know or want loneliness again," Trump said. "The world was cruel to you, but you have Trump now." Now, he did not make this.
Clearly AI.
No. It's clearly AI, but I don't even know that Tim Pool made this.
Oh no, I probably
When
stole it.
you see this, your first rate, keep it up, because we have seen time and time again before AI of hundreds of Trump supporters making memes like this, putting Trump on like strapping, bodies and Trump as Jesus and Trump as like George Washington. And I mean, over and over again. So Tim thinks he's being smart here. Now, part of the problem and the challenge that Tim has when he does this stuff is that he's not smart.
Right.
And so he thinks he's like leaning into this and reappropriating weirdness. But what he's doing is reminding us that actually this is very believable. I know Tim is putting on a show. I've seen a couple of tweets he's been doing lately, and it's quite clear that he has been doing that. I hadn't seen Ruben because he blocked me. And Tim's doing this as a way of like, because he thinks...
Come on, Sam. Twitter's been around for ages now. You don't have another alt account that you can go around? Everybody knows this, Sam.
If he reappropriates the weirdness, it will in some way make it less, I guess, poignant. But the fact is that he's reminding everybody that there's a lot of conservatives who actually buy into these type of like pictures.
Yeah,
like
this is a genre.
This is a genre. This is what birthed QAnon.
Yeah.
And then if you stroll down, and this is what's really sort of funny. Somebody says, y'all get mad when Dems call you weird and you post things like this. And Tim writes, I have never been mad at Democrats calling me weird. I'm trying to be as weird as possible every day. Now,
I don't always have 1 to 2 hours in my day to actually prepare a meal and then clean up after.
genuinely weird people, like in the way that we talked about the distinction yesterday, weird people who celebrate their nonconformity and know that they're out, a little bit different than the norm. They're not, they know that they're weird and they don't have to try and be weird. They just simply feel confident in themselves and they're not putting on a show. That's what's like genuinely like fun weirdness.
Yeah, they're being themselves and interpreting the feedback, whereas Tim is like, I'm going to try to be weird to market myself.
I'm going to try to be weird now. And then he writes, as soon as the Democrats ran the line weird, I was ecstatic and doubled down. And he doesn't realize, he thinks he's doubling down on like cool, fun weirdness. But in fact, what he's doing is showing just how out of touch he is with normal people, well-adjusted, and even weird people who are, capable of realizing, like, I'm not, I don't follow the norm. He's just being, like, creepy weird, not fun weird. And he doesn't get this. In the same way that, like, he didn't get it, like, when he went and, like, here's $20,000 to give your skate park. And everybody was like, dude, go away. He had to go double down and buy the thing for $1 million or $800,000 or whatever it was. In the same way that he gets shown up by Emma on his show and then very slanderously, I think actionably in terms of like lawsuits, goes on and calls her a pedophile. He's creepy. He's creepy weird, not fun weird. He's creepy weird, not celebratory weird. And when he doubles down on his creepy weirdness, just that his reaction to this is to double down and I'll show them. He thinks he's being funny, but the only other explanation is he's that and just it's a grift. It's a scam. Yeah. And he knows it's going to get him attention and he gets a bunch of views for it. And that's the way.
100%. Like the grift continues. Tim Pool doesn't care. That part is very true. Tim Pool does not care. The grift continues.
he creates his brand. But it is fascinating to watch these creepy people try and react like a non-creepy person would.
Well, yeah. What's funny is they could, and I'm not the first person to say this, but they could just say, like, it's weird to care about Joe Biden's inflation or all these other things, but they have to say, like, yeah, you think that's weird? How about all these pictures of, like, trans people having meltdowns that I have saved on my camera reel?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're weird.
Amazing. Really amazing. Impressive.
See, so this is why you guys don't get invited places.
It's true. It's so true. It's so true.
It went from being the people who get invited places to being proudly weird.
Hey, so we all remember the Supreme Court's ruling on...
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. All right, folks. Now we got to talk about the real important stuff, okay? Video games.
We are at Gate 5 at Warner Brothers here in Los Angeles, and we are picketing against video game employers.
No contract, no ease. This is our first day of picketing on this strike. We are fighting a battle that goes beyond just this one contract or even just our own membership, because AI is going to affect all of us.
Video game performers tend to work in the closet in small little spaces, so when you let us out here, we get really rabid. It's great to see each other. It's great to support each other.
Video game performers do the voice acting, motion capture, and inspire characters for the world's biggest video games: Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, and more.
They come to us to ask how heroes sound and what they look like and what they do, and we're going to show them.
They're striking 10 video game studios and production companies.
Nice.
Because after 2 years of contract negotiations, they still can't agree on artificial intelligence protections.
A very small number of very large corporations are holding the entire industry hostage.
I was Donna Beneviento in Resident Evil Village. I did most of the body capture for the women in Immortals of Avium. I am the Rancor in Star Wars Vader Immortal, so if you played that, you definitely had to kill me. So when I'm crawling around on the ground for 8 hours a day, creating these monsters that you have to fight, they are telling me that I am not a performer, that all I am is data. So what they intend to do is take our data, make a model out of it, and then they use that model instead of us.
The basic protections we're looking for are when they use any kind of digital replication of a performer.
And that's why, and that's just capitalism ruining yet another thing.
Voice, their face, their movement, that they have the right to say yes or no to that, and they have the right to be compensated for that.
Imagine a situation where there's an avatar of you that can say things that you never consented to say and that you're never compensated for. That's a really dangerous environment, not only for performers, but for the general public at large.
I also worry that AI could make it where existing, talented, established artists have to compete against their own digital replica for work.
You come to me, you tell me what you intend to do, you get my permission, you pay me. That's fair, it allows the use of this tool, it's reasonable, it's feasible. We have employers signing those agreements that have those terms exactly as they are for much, much lower budgets than the folks like here.
In terms of the compensation factors, we haven't even really fully explored that because they haven't agreed to the consent provisions yet for all of the performers that we need to. So, from their point of view, if they don't need to get consent, they don't have to compensate.
Right.
One day longer, one day stronger! Thank you. I'm a performance capture artist. I work in video games doing flips and tricks and getting beaten up and all the fun stuff.
Great thing about what we do is that a lot of actors, a lot of performers can come together to create a perfect character. So that being said, I had a hand in these characters: Spider-Man, Venom, Rhino, Vulture, Electro, Shocker, Scorpion, Aunt May. Every single civilian on the ground level, every single goon you beat up, I have had a hand in bringing those people to life.
Being able to do a backflip is one thing. Being able to do a backflip on command is another thing. Being able to do a backflip on command in different ways, landing on a certain object, going across a gap, augmenting the way I do my tricks to make it look like somebody who has just gotten superpowers for the first time. We aren't even saying that these companies can't use AI. What we're asking for is that if they are going to use me, that I get paid for it.
The AAA company video games make so much money that it dwarfs TV, film, and music combined. And we are just asking for enough to cover our rent.
A report in March by the game engine company Unity found that 62% of video game studios were already using AI, largely for world building, prototyping, and coding. 46% of engineers are also starting to use it for character animation.
This fight isn't against the people that we work with day in and day out. It's not the animators, it's not the directors, it's not the people that we make these genuine connections with making these beautiful games. It's the people who want to sit in an office and count their dollar bills that want to tell you what you do and assign the value of what you do.
Exactly. That's exactly how this works. That's exactly how these people operate. Yes. Cognizant welcome, rent, utilities, food, and water. Shoot for the stars. Indeed.
The most frustrating aspect of this negotiation, not just for us, but for everybody in general, is the lack of respect that's shown to a human being by a corporation.
Corporations aren't interested in respect or human beings. Corporations are only interested in one thing. What that number looks like at the end of each quarter. That's the beginning and end of that conversation. Corporations don't care about anything else other than what that number looks like for shareholders at the end of each quarter. That's it. Why is that surprising? I don't know. It's not.
We won AI protections in TV theatrical. We refined them in animation. We have to build upon them in interactive because AI protections aren't going to reach through to everyone.
It could very well potentially replace us. And I don't say us, the entertainment union, I mean us, labor, workers. We're the canary in the coal mine. We have to fight it so that the next union who feels threatened by it, they have a framework to stand on.
We have to win this fight to set the precedent for the workforce at large.
And we'll be out here doing this until we have a fair contract.
The reason I fear AI is because corporations are developing them. Yeah, they're not going to use them to actually be anything useful other than facilitating the consolidation of profit into fewer and fewer hands. That's the only purpose that they will serve. And in this case, that's exactly it. They will replace or cut out actors using their own likeness so that they don't have to pay them so that they can keep more and more of the money. Ex-Trump attorney Jenna Ellis agrees to cooperate in Arizona fake elector case. Oh boy, what a interesting development we have. Donald Trump's former attorney Jenna Ellis has reached a cooperation agreement with officials in Arizona as part of the state's fake elector case, the Arizona Attorney General's office announced on Monday yesterday. The state is dropping the charges against Ellis in exchange for her cooperation. Ellis was facing 9 felonies as part of the case. She pleaded not guilty in Maricopa County Court in June for her alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in Arizona. As part of her cooperation deal, Ellis has agreed to provide information and material to law enforcement as well as to testify at any time and place, according to a copy of her cooperation agreement that was released by officials. Ellis also sat for a recorded proffer session with the Attorney General's office on June 17th, according to the agreement. Did you guys already do the celebration? No, we have a couple of more. We have, I think, one more article before we get to the news. Before we get to the news. Okay. The story of the day. I made a mention of it, yes. But it's coming, folks. Well, this agreement represents a significant step forward in our case, said Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays in a statement. I'm grateful to Ms. Ellis for her cooperation with our investigation and prosecution. Her insights are invaluable and will greatly aid the state in proving its case in court. Flipper. She's a flipper. This spring, Ellis was one of the 18 individuals indicted by May's office over the alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election results in the state. A number of former and current aides to Trump were among those indicted, including Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows. I'm glad that Arizona is prosecuting these people. It is so important that consequences happen, and hopefully her testimony and her evidence that she turns over gets these people convicted. Trump was not charged in this particular case. The deal marks a second cooperation agreement for Ellis, who previously pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate in Georgia last year after she was indicted in Fulton County alongside Trump and 17 others over alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 elections in that state. Appearing in a Georgia courtroom in October, Ellis tearfully denounced her work on behalf of the Trump during the 2020 election. She's got to be really screwed if she's cooperating. Indeed, they had her with 9 felonies, and I think she didn't want any part of that. Plus the fact that I think she already pleaded out in the Georgia case. So yeah, they got her dead to rights. Already a felon then? Gotcha. Like, yeah, she was looking at well, not convicted. Oh yeah, well, she did plead guilty, didn't she? She pled out in the Georgia case. I'm pretty sure that was her, and she agreed to testify in that case as well. Also, didn't he never pay her? Probably not, because Trump skips out on all his bills, so it would not surprise me. Welcome, I'm just me. Quote, if I knew what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. Ellis told the judge in that case, I look back at this whole experience with deep remorse. Celebration! Celebrate! Welcome, we're about to. We're getting there. We're getting there. ABC News later exclusively obtained video of Ellis's proffer session with Fulton County prosecutors. In addition to Ellis, Georgia's defendants Kenneth Chesebro, Sidney Powell, and Scott Hall also took cooperation deals in that case. So yeah, definitely she's cooperating in that case. Money is just kindling for Trump's ego. Yeah. Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush faces a primary challenger backed by pro-Israel groups. We talked about this recently, but I'm bringing it up because today is the election, folks. Today is the primary. Okay, if you're in Missouri, you need to be going to vote if you can, or if you know people in Missouri. Definitely let them know that this is happening. Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush is in the fight of her political life in Tuesday's Democratic primary for the state's first congressional district House seat. The St. Louis-based Congresswoman became a national figure after knocking off longtime incumbent Representative Lacey Clay in 2020. Before being elected, she participated in the protest movement in Ferguson that arose after a police officer shot and killed Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager. She used that background in activism once she became a congresswoman and joined a group of progressive House Democrats known as the Squad. I already sent my absentee ballot. Well, Canada has my thanks. Canada has my appreciation. In 2021, she slept on the Capitol steps to protest an expiring eviction moratorium. She is also an abortion rights supporter and worked to repeal a federal law that Democrats fear could be used to ban medication used to terminate pregnancies. This year, her long-standing criticism of Israel's government and advocacy for Palestinians is helping fuel the campaign of her Democratic primary challenger and St. Louis County prosecutor Wesley Bell. Bush angered some Jewish leaders after Hamas's deadly October 7 attack for her criticism of Israel's military actions in Gaza, including saying in a tweet that she couldn't be silent about Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign. Israeli officials say the highest civilian death toll in Gaza is a consequence of Hamas hiding among non-combatants while waging war. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, her truth was too much. As of August 2nd, the United Democracy Project, the political arm of the AIPAC, has spent more than $8.5 million to boost Bell and defeat Bush, according to the FEC Commission. The FEC reports as she tries to prevail in one of the most expensive House primaries ever. According to the tracking firm Ad Impact, Bush is unapologetic about her speaking in support of Palestinians and criticizing the Israeli government. She said she's found commonalities between Black Americans fighting for civil rights and Palestinians seeking self-determination. Quote, I condemned Hamas over and over again, but what I did not do is sign on to legislation that were Republican bills meant to fuel anti-Palestinian hate. What we were saying was we can condemn Hamas and can also care about the lives of Palestinian people and not want them to seem harmed as well. Hello from Russia. Where are you from? The U.S. Bush alleges pro-Israel groups like United Democracy Projects are engaging in deceptive campaigns, so that the super PAC ads don't mention Israel but primarily focus on her votes that stray from President Biden's agenda. She said that by design, Missouri's first Congress district contains an African-American plurality. Neither Bush nor Bell believe black voters rank candidates' opinions about Israel as a top priority when deciding on how to vote, and Bush notes that the prominent Democrats, including Vice President Kamala Harris, are in favor of a ceasefire in Gaza. So the point being is that she is in the fight for her political life. So if you're in Missouri or know people in Missouri, make sure that you spread the word because the primary is today. All right, folks, before we go, okay? Before we go, we have to celebrate. Okay? Listen, it's been hard, okay? And we have to take the wins when we get them, okay? Vice President Harris, who is running for the presidency, has selected Tim Walz as a running mate. And that is great for a number of reasons, okay? Vice President Kamala Harris has chosen Tim Walz of Minnesota as her running mate, elevating the former teacher and Army National Guard veteran to join the Democratic ticket and help lead the party's fight to defeat Donald Trump. The selection, which Harris personally delivered to Walz via video call, according to a source familiar with the matter, caps the Midwestern Democrats' short but swift descent from relative unknown to a leading driver of the party's attacks against former president and the MAGA agenda. Walz emerged from the most accelerated vice presidential search in modern history from a short list that included half a dozen Democrats, including Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. The vice president held in-person interviews with Walz, Shapiro, and Kelly on Sunday. While Harris and Walz did not enjoy much of a previous relationship, aides say that Harris grew increasingly enthused by how Walz genuinely carried himself and found a warm chemistry with him during visits in the Naval Observatory. Harris was impressed by his authenticity, and a person close to the process told CNN. In a remarkable 2-week period, Walz ascended from a third-tier candidate to a final contender in the view of Harris and her vetting team. He was propelled by support from across the Democratic Party, progressive and moderate groups alike. He talks and looks a lot like the voters we've lost to Trump, said a longtime Democratic operative who was supportive of Walz the day President Biden stepped aside. In March, Walz accompanied Harris when she became the first sitting vice president to visit a clinic that performs abortions. A source close to Walz said that visit, along with time Harris spent with the governor as he campaigned for re-election in 2022, had a big impact. The chemistry was really important to Harris, and it really clicked for both of them, the source said. Then on top of that, like all of us saw how energizing Walz was for the base! That's right! You heard that, folks? The base! Okay. But seriously, folks. Glad I was wrong. Me too. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I am once again open to apologies from the smug liberals. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I am once again open to apologies from the smug liberals. So, I think, like, more importantly, I think more importantly, this shows at least here's the Hail Mary for this whole thing. At least this shows that there's a possibility that we might actually be acknowledged with Harris. And that public pressure works on her. public pressure works on her better than it did to Joe Biden. It seems that it seems like at the very least, Harris is acting like she's willing to listen. And when she was on that call, she was actually there was also people from the uncommitted campaign being heard too. So like there's a lot of things that are pointing in the positive. I'm truly surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised that yeah, nice meme. And Shapiro would have been a slap in the face, and I'm not super into that exactly. It would be a sign that that it doesn't matter what the base thinks, right? That if she would have chosen Shapiro, it would just be a sign that that she's just gonna go with like whatever the corporate wing donors are gonna say. You know what? I'm pleasantly surprised that the pressure campaign worked. That she's open to at least acting like she's willing to listen. She's going to be rewarded with that. Polls show that Kamala Harris is moving ahead of Donald Trump in the 2024 election. As Kamala Harris named Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor, as her running mate, recent polls showed the vice president moving ahead of Donald Trump in the race for the White House. This is almost week 3, folks. Among recent national head-to-head polls, Survey USA put Harris up to 3 points ahead of Trump, 48-45. Morning Consult put her up 4 points. YouGov and CBS made it a 1-point lead, 50-49, and the University of Massachusetts put her 46-43. Those results are mostly within the margin of error. But Tatish Natera, provost professor of political science at UMass Amherst and director of its poll, pointed to a key finding, a 7-point swing to the Democrats since January when Trump led Joe Biden by 4. Pretty sure it's because they saw what doesn't work and they realized this was the fastest way to plug the hemorrhaging voter base numbers. Yeah, I mean, seriously, it literally is just them responding to the base. That's it. The base was like, listen, I don't think you understand. We are not voting for you. We are staying home, or we are not going to vote and just vote down ticket, or just vote for the local elections. But the point being is that you're right. They realized this ain't going to fly without the base. It turns out you need people to get off the couch and go vote. And if you piss those people off, then they're not going to get out there and vote. So yeah, whatever works. Yeah. It turns out that this is exactly the right move. For weeks after the first presidential debate in June, Natera said Democratic donors, prominent Democratic elected officials, and members of the news media made the case that President Biden faced long odds to defeat the former President Trump and called for Biden to step down. In the aftermath of Biden's historic decision to forego his re-election campaign, it seems as if Biden critics were indeed correct, as his replacement, Vice President Kamala Harris, has emerged as the frontrunner of the race. Right, we've been talking about this for months. While there are still 3 months to go, the Harris campaign and the Democratic Party must like their chances to maintain control of the White House and send former President Trump to his second consecutive defeat in his quest to return to Pennsylvania Avenue. Right, and this is, mind you, this is week, 2.5? We're almost going into week 3, I believe. There's still time, folks. There's still 2 more months, or 3 more months, I should say. The point being is that the trend is looking up. It also proving that the United States does not need an infinite election cycle. An infinite election cycle. So, we're doing the presidential election right now, and guess what's around the corner after this election is done? That's right, midterms. And after those midterms are done, guess what? It's the next 2028 presidential election, and guess what? Right around the corner is the next midterm. So it's like an infinite election cycle, where it seems like we're always in one. There's also good news for Harris from The Hill as the site's ultimate hub for polls, predictions. You just like to show off that you can type an infinity symbol. I don't know how he does it, to be honest, or how they do it. You know what? I can just copy paste. Yeah, I can do it too. There you go. There was also good news for Harris from The Hill as the site's ultimate hub for polls, predictions, and election results showed the Democrat with a positive favorability rating for the first time after a steep climb since mid-July when Biden stepped down. As to be expected, August polls in the 7 battleground states where the election is expected to be decided present a more mixed picture. In polls concluded in August, public policy polling, a Democratic firm, found Harris up 1 in Georgia but down 2 on Trump in Arizona and down 1 in Pennsylvania. The Trafalgar Insider Advantage, a right-leaning operation, put Trump up 2 in Georgia. According to Battle... Yeah, but like, even if Trump was up 2 in Georgia against Harris, literally 3 weeks ago against Biden, Trump was like way higher. So it's definitely a significant difference. Does this difference mean something for the elections, like 1 to 2%, and it may change again? Yeah, no, this election right now is very close. That instance hasn't changed. The difference is that it went from like Biden being the candidate, and the trend was going negative and negative and negative and negative, versus this is still a very close election, and it's closing. That gap is closing in a very quick manner. And the trajectory is in a positive, versus Biden with his trajectory was in the negative. Like it was bad. It was looking like Biden was just gonna completely crash and burn. The campaign essentially was gonna crater. The campaign cratered at the end there, versus Harris, it's close right now and it's moving in the positive direction. Everyone in 2016 was sure that Clinton was president, will be president too. Well, the polls are pretty good on that one too. They predicted that she was going to win the popular vote by plus or minus whatever percentage points, and she did. But that does not determine the presidency. The Electoral College does. All 236. Gotcha. According to Battleground averages maintained by the polling sites, 538, Trump led Harris by 2 points in Arizona, 1 in Georgia, and Harris up by 2 points in Michigan, and 1 in Pennsylvania, and 1.5 was in Wisconsin. North Carolina polls collected by 538, but not average, showed Trump up, but with a shrinking lead, down from 9 points in mid-July to only 2 points in August. I mean, come on. That's wild. There was also good news for Harrison's solidly Democratic state, New York, where Trump showed signs of progress while Biden led the blue ticket. With Harris in place, Siena College found her up 14 points, 53 to 39. On Monday, Nate Silver, the founder of 538 and an influential voice among polling analysts, said Harris now has a real lead in national polls, about 2 points, and has been ahead in most recent of polls in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I'm going to be honest. Nate Silver has actually been correct in a couple of instances here. He was correct in suggesting that Biden should step down. He's had very rare W's as of late. Concerns about economic conditions should not be counted out, Silver said on a day of Wall Street sell-offs and a report of recession fears. But the momentum in the polls outweigh it for now. This article is amended. Okay, so this is the polls finding in Georgia. Gotcha. I wasn't sure Clinton was going to be president. It was a very close race. Honestly, I thought she was going to win in 2016. I'm not going to lie. I honestly thought she was going to win. We did it, folks. All right. Folks, I gotta go and bust this mission for the car. As I said yesterday. It's time for me to get going. Nate Silver has been correct. His creation of 538, not so much. I don't know. I kind of like 538. Anyways. I gotta get out of here, folks. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. He sold it and is run by somebody else now. Gotcha. John Rando, thank you. Have a nice day, Mr. Democrat. True. Mr. Democrat. I love that. I'm going to put that on my stream title. Mr. Democrat. I got to get going, folks. As always, folks, I'm out of here. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Michael Hassler. I appreciate it. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Oh, yes. Before I go, folks, check out the merch store, Discord, and keep liking the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, consider checking out the merch store. Consider checking out the Discord. I appreciate it. Movie night, last Saturday of the month, August 31st. I'm out of here, folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Tomorrow we'll be back to the normal schedule. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. See ya. Let's continue the celebration with Riverboat Jack, okay? We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.